This week is going to be a fractions mosaic project where we combine art and math and have fun. It's because mosaics are whole pieces of art made out of many parts, which when we're doing fractions, we're talking about parts to whole with our numerator and denominator. So it's a great way to integrate what we're studying. I want to remind you that one whole is made up of many parts. We describe that with fractions. The numerator is the number of parts that we're referring to, and the denominator is the total number of parts that, if we had all of them, would make up one whole. So for example, we have a piece of pizza here. Each piece of this pizza would be 1/12 because there are total 12 pieces of pizza. So if I told you to go make a mosaic of a pizza with 12 parts total, you'd only be able to use 12 pieces of paper. But in this project, we're going to be using 100 to make cool mosaics. I want to give you some examples of different mosaics. You could see that here that there's an abstract mosaic and then a mosaic, but I want you to notice that the papers do not overlap. There's space between each one of the squares or circles used in this project. You're going to need to leave space when you make your mosaic, otherwise it will be very hard for you to go and count your squares when you're done. Here's another example of mosaics that were made. You have a sunflower here and then also a rainbow that was actually made with little beads or sequins, not pieces of paper. We're going to be using paper because you can tear it. You can also use scissors to cut it. You can cut it into a variety of shapes. But the most common shape to make a mosaic with is a square. So you can try to cut squarish pieces of paper or tear squarish pieces of paper. So how are we going to do this? We're going to create a mosaic with exactly 100 pieces. So you need to count your bits of paper as you're going and make sure that you don't use less than 100 and that you don't use more than 100. That way, when you get done, you know that the denominator for your project will be 100. Number 2, you can use as many colors as you want. But again, when all of those colors are added up together for the end of the project, the total number must be 100 pieces. So for example, if you wanted to just use 2 colors, green and blue, and you're making a seashell mosaic, you wanted to use 50 pieces of blue paper and 50 pieces of green paper, which gives you a total of 100 pieces of paper. Please don't use, 50 pieces of blue paper and 75 pieces of green paper, because then your denominator at the end will not actually equal 100, and 100 is an easier number to work with. So after you've cut up your papers, then you're going to design your mosaic. I think it's helpful first to take a piece of paper, use a pencil to sort of sketch out the design. So if you're doing a butterfly, roughly draw a butterfly with pencil on your paper before you start gluing the colored papers on, because that way you have a sort of a map to tell you where you need to go. So you're going to be cutting up paper. You can use as many colors as you want. I sent you a bunch of different construction paper and a bunch of different colors, so you can do what you want. It's your mosaic, your design. But you need 100 pieces of paper, and then when you're done, you'll glue them on. Now, when your mosaic is finished, you're going to count up the different colors that you have. We're going to analyze the mosaic. So you'll pick one color. Let's say, again, that you used blue. You'll choose that color, blue, and you'll go look at your finished mosaic, and you'll count up how many pieces of blue did you use. Then you'll write the number of pieces of blue paper that you use as the numerator for your fraction. The denominator will be 100 because the total number of pieces of paper in your picture is 100. Now, if you need to simplify your fraction, go ahead and simplify it. To simplify it is to find the equivalent fraction that would be less than the fraction that you have. If there is one, there may not be one. Then you're going to do this with all the colors. You'll do blue if you used blue, and then green if you used green, and then red if you used red. Go through until you've looked at and analyzed and written a fraction for every color in your mosaic. Then you're going to go down to the bottom of the page where there's 4 questions. One, you're going to order your mosaic colors from least used to greatest. You're going to answer which color did you use the most, which color did you use the least, and then what's the difference between your most used color and your least used color. Now, when you're finding the difference of something, you're going to be doing subtraction. So you will take your most used color number, let's say that's 25, and you're going to subtract your least used color number, let's say that's 3. So you would have 25 minus 3, which gives you 22. If you have questions about that, you can call me. But you're going to take a picture when you're done and send it to me because I really want to see your art. And I wanted to give you a little sample of how this would work using the picture that I sent you in your packet. So here's a mosaic on the right. It's like an abstract swirl design. And you can see how there's lots of different color shapes used, but they're clearly spaced so that they're easy to count. Now on the left, you'll see the mosaic fraction art chart. The color red, they use 24 red pieces over 100. The simplest form of that is 6 over 25. Then I went back in and counted the blue pieces. There's 15 blue pieces of paper. So I wrote the fraction 15 over 100. The simplest form of that is 3 over 20. I got that by dividing 15 by 5 and dividing 100 by 5. Then, just for another example, I did the green one and so on. So you'd go through and count each color and analyze your fractions and then answer the questions. So good luck. I hope you have lots of fun with this project. And